Hello, everybody. Mariner here, and welcome to Gameweek 24. Well, we're a week before Gameweek 24, but hey, we're getting in early, boys, aren't we? How are you doing, Nima? Are you good?
Yeah, good, thanks. I've just finished work after 6.5 years, so living carefree for the next couple of months. So just going to be netting that haul.
Fair enough. That might improve your rank then.
hopefully. It's the end game has begun. This is the crunch period, my most favorite part of the season.
Very true. I did say to Gabe, though, that you've got nothing else to do apart from polish your crown jewels or whatever you're doing. And you were still late.
I know. I'm just waiting for those Manscaped products to arrive so I can use them. And then I feel like then I could talk about them on air once I've used them, because that's a bit more genuine and legit that way.
What a load of bollocks. Gabe, how are you?
It's been a lively start to the morning here in Arizona, Mariner. And I think, just to get right into strategy, first you manscape, then you polish. This is it. Your strategy, you have to have your order correct. Otherwise, what's the point? So we're getting it. We're getting the strategy talk in there early. Yeah, you got to do it at the beginning. So it feels better.
I thought you were already talking about the philosophy.
He doesn't know which section we got to.
We have a couple different heads we think with, so we can get to the cerebral one now.
Anyway, boys, it's game week 24, and as I say, we're a week away from it. Are we ready for a bit of FPL? It's been boring, guys. I've been super bored. Thank goodness we did that show with Late Riser last week, and and how good was that? It was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it flew off the shelves. I listened back to it, and it was very much just a chat amongst friends and nothing too kind of serious. And I think it was nice to do that as a result of the Dennis red card, just chat to some friends and recover from the incident.
I think so. I think it was pretty important too, if you ask me. Okay, let's timestamp it then. Where are we, Gabe? What time of the day is it in Phoenix, Arizona?
It is 8:10 in the morning in this neck of the world. How about over there in Singapore, Mariner?
Well, it's 11:10 at night on the 2nd of the 2nd, 2022.
Oh, okay. We're still on the same day, so that's good. How about Nima? Nima, let's timestamp Nima.
Yeah, I'm at 3:11 p.m. Yeah, I'm right in the middle.
Right then, Nima, do you want to say hello to a few people and then we'll crack
good
on?
Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, as our friend Zafar would say.
As Roth would say,
very literally.
So I think he's the last of the Wire crew that we haven't yet got on to net that haul. So once we complete that, then the mission of the friendship across the pods will have been complete. So sorry for the delay going live. I think 3:07 p.m. That's only 7 minutes late. It's a lot earlier than some other weeks. So I pat myself on the back for that. Evening, Ramanathan, good old friend of the show, Fantasy Pavilion, Jared. I got Thomas Morris here as well. We're going to talk about the triple captain. Obviously, the Salah news has just come out. Blue Danube guy. Yes. Managed it that time. FPL Escapades. Good to see our friends. Prashant. We got Kieran's here as well. So the prodigal son waiting for the get-together on the 19th that, I don't know, it looks like it could be up to 45, 50 people now, Mariner.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to
Yeah, it's got a pretty mental. We've got your runner. Good to see you, mate. FPL Robert Ducky. Quack is FPL Quack, back. So I like that one. Jasker and Singh, Jared Whittinger, Ashwin Kumar, Blue Nix, and Akib as well. Hello, FPL dad. So I'm only dad to a puppy, but these other dads over here, don't put me in that same category yet.
Well, you never know. Once you get those Manscaped products out, it could work wonders.
You just start copulating, don't you?
Far better than better than talking about triple game week or double game weeks. And anyway, look at this. Ramanthan, he said he's going to have to leave because you were that late, Nima. He's buggered off.
No, I think it's just late at night, maybe. And yeah, people have waited up for us. So I don't blame myself.
I think it's his goal just to be the first one in. Once he's met that goal, he's like, I'll come back and watch it another time.
There's nothing wrong with being the number one hauler of the week, is there?
That's right.
Nothing wrong. Oscar's here as well. Hello, my FPL godfathers, he says.
That type of father I'm
there we
willing
go.
to accept
Yeah.
being. Yeah.
Il
That
padrino.
type-
Il padrino.
You can call me daddy. That's okay.
Anyway, going on to the father of all things philosophy. And Gabe, I'm going to put it on the screen now, but you just dropped yourself in it possibly because you think you've said you've had this one before.
I think so I think this may be a repeat. It feels like a repeat, but I honestly have the worst memory of anybody I ever remember meeting. So
I can't remember trying to pronounce Soren Kierkegaard.
Søren Kierkegaard. Søren Kierkegaard. Just like Ødegaard, this would be Kierkegaard, and it would be Søren. And the quote for this week is, life can only be understood backward, but it must be lived forwards.
Can you repeat it backwards?
That would be like a David Lynch film, right? But I don't think this quote really requires much interpretation. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then even when we do, we can understand it backwards, but when your memory is as shit as mine is, sometimes you have to re-understand the same lesson. So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, it's just basically a message to go easy on yourself because in hindsight, things might look obvious, but we can sometimes forget the nebulous nature of uncertainty, right? And when we look back, that uncertainty is gone because the things have already happened. So be kind to yourself and realize that sometimes there was no way to know. Be
kind to yourself and other people.
There you go.
Be kind. How about that? Be kind. And yes, and if you're like me, who's still waiting for the disaster that is going to befall me now Dennis is suspended, then look backwards at it and say, ha! What a load of shit that is.
That's exactly right. I think you captured the essence of the philosophy of the week perfectly there, Mariner. Well done.
Right. Anyway, that's about as serious as I can get in 1 week. Right. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's have a quick look at the fixture difficulty. And of course, it does not include the Liverpool and Leeds game, which appears to have dropped into game week 26, Nima. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I was just talking about this yesterday, but I think minutes before we went live, the Bjorn Kopp on Twitter, who's a very kind of good Liverpool source, has said that Liverpool Leeds game is falling into 26. But I believe it's only 4 days before the Liverpool Cup final as well. So there's a Champions League bookending the other side. I'm interested to see what people think. And obviously there's people with Salah, without Salah. And the decision now is, do you get him in 24? Do you wait till 26? But I think either way, even if you think he might not play all the minutes in 26, surely it's triple captain worthy.
I think he is. We'll have a quick poll in the chat. 24, 25, 26, or still have him.
I sadly still have him. I missed out on all the points.
I did actually have just enough time to recalculate. I didn't have time to change the slides, but I did have time to recalculate it. So let's have a quick look at this fixture difficulty. And all I've done is I've summed them all up and I've calculated the averages just to talk people through it who are listening as well. But attacking fixture difficulty, looking out to game week 28, Liverpool are the best. Before it was 16.4, but that's an average of 4.1. So remember, between 0 and 7, and then the difference between the two gives you the matchup, which is the 4.1 as that on average. Liverpool are now 21.4. It's a +5 for Leeds. That is a very, very good matchup against Leeds United, and that has now propelled them miles out in front of everybody else with respect to the next few weeks. I think it's pretty obvious that we need to get Salah back. As I say, I think the interesting thing is when. We'll quickly look at the others. City, 13.4. Look how far back they are. Average of 2.7. And then Spurs at 9.1. Not even close. So Liverpool are just destroying everybody with respect to the matchups at the moment, by the looks of things. Gabe, anything you're spotting with respect to the attack side of things?
So to touch on Liverpool here and their matchup against Leicester, and it seems super tasty, right? And I think one of the problems Leicester has had that they have had this season is that Schmeichel has not been very good. But I was looking last night at his stats and specifically his expected goals prevented. And over the last 6, so Schmeichel was among the worst goalkeepers, has been among the worst goalkeepers from that perspective all season. But in the last 6, he has improved significantly. He was at a severe deficit in terms of expected goals prevented. Just as a reminder, expected goals prevented is the expected goals on target. Sorry, it's right minus the goals conceded. So if it's negative, then it's not very good, right? They're letting in more than they should. And recently it has swung to the positive. So I think Leicester are actually improving. Now, that being said, their defense is not improving, right? They still have holes in the back, and the disorganization there is appalling. And Soyuncu hasn't been good, and so on and so forth. But I think that's kind of the narrative that people that are waiting on Salah will kind of start to talk about. But I think it just feels too risky, right? Going without that premium player. I think we've gotten used to no Salah. And now it's like, well, if I've lived without him now, but when he comes back, I think he's I think he's top priority straight away, even given the blank. I don't know what you guys feel.
I'm not. I mean, we obviously need to see what happens with the AFCON, right? If it's a third place match, then you never know. I don't know whether they'll release him or not,
Right.
but I still think it's looking extremely doubtful now that he's going to play an awful lot in Gameweek 24. That's my perspective of it all. And you mentioned Leicester. You can see Leicester when we talk about defense. Look, minus 12.1, awful. And in fact, when you actually look at Leicester, I think they've only got 4 defenders fit.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's Thomas. So, and Amate, right?
James Justin hopefully will be back.
James Justin as well. He is coming back. Yeah, that's right.
That'll be good. But they have a lot of games in hand. I think there's someone who could be interesting, but they haven't been great, really, as you say. I think just on the Salah comment, I just want to bring this up because obviously our friend Fancy Pavilion, he's saying he won't be actually bringing him back till a bit longer, till around game week 28, or thereabouts. So I thought that was quite interesting. And I don't know if this is going to be one of those things where we come back and you question why you didn't have Salah in a double game week. But yeah, let's see what happens. I'm not sure I would do that. There's so many value players. Surely you can own kind of Salah plus. Like right now I have Salah, right, as my only premium, and he's on my bench. And I have 5 million in the bank. So like I don't understand how can money be a problem?
No, well, I don't think there is. I've got 6 million in the bank and I don't own him.
I think the biggest issue is, I think my issue is I went for Foden because I didn't want a wild card. I thought I'd keep Foden long term. So instead of De Bruyne last week, I went to Foden and Dennis as my 2 moves for Trossard and Ronaldo. But now I'm probably going to take a hit and bring Ronaldo back yet again for one of Dennis or King. So I love the hokey cokey. -4 to bring in Ronaldo, captain him, does nothing. -4 to sell him for Dennis, captain him, gets a red. -4 to bring back Ronaldo, captain him. You know what's going to happen, right?
Amazing.
But I think the question is, right, so I think you're right, Mariner, that Leicester will come too soon for Salah, but do we bring him in for Burnley? Right, that's the real question.
I think that is a great question, and I think Neima's obviously got Salah anyway, but I mean, from my perspective, I still own Bruno, right? And they have a double game week in 25, so I think I can possibly go without Salah with a double game week captaincy option there available straight away. And then I think I might go into a hokey cokey like Neima's doing. I think Salah might come in, then Salah might leave, and Salah will come back. Just to make sure I've got good captaincy options, because I think United play Watford. Is it Watford in 27? It is. United play Watford in 27.
Yeah. So that's the time when if you can't free hit, as long as you've probably got like say 3 United players, that's the tastiest fixture in 27. So for me, I only have 1 free hit left, and like I don't think I can use it in 27. So what do I do? Like Arsenal might get a double game week as well, by the way. So like saying game week 28. So what do you do if you've got like Liverpool and Arsenal assets and they all blank in 27, and you still want to keep them for their doubles either side? Like
I would suggest that I think this talk of these good United fixtures and that Watford being the best fixture in 27, I think it's a little bit premature, because one, United are not good. We've seen that they've disappointed us time and time again, and two, we don't know what Watford team is going to show up with Woy, right?
Probably a defensive one.
Exactly. So there's a lot we're going to learn in the next 2 to 3 game weeks. And I think planning a hokey cokey like that could leave us kind of out of emerging options. And of these emerging options that, we can talk about, for example, new signings like Wout Weghorst at Burnley. That's an upgrade on Chris Wood. Everyone was making fun of Burnley for letting go of their striker, and then they come back and they upgrade with a cheaper guy. And I think Cornet will be an incredible option with all the games they have in hand. There's still the Villa options, right? Are we still interested in Coutinho or Jacob Ramsey as an enabler? So I just think that there's a lot of shifting that's going to be happening. And if we kind of narrow our focus, our transfer focus to this hokey cokey, it could leave us in a little bit of a hole as far as our teams are concerned.
I take your point. I still think captaincy is such an important part of the game, though. You've got to make sure you've got good captaincy options. And you mentioned Burnley. Look at Burnley. Look at minus 11.2 on the total matchups there. Now that means, and they've got a game. They've got 1 blank in there, so they've got 5 fixtures. That's because they haven't got a double in 25. Just for people who are listening, but they've got a proverbial mountain to climb, Gabe. And I know it's going to change them, but for me, too early. I think. We're looking probably out towards 28, 20, even 20, game week 29, even after Chelsea, before I'm really seriously going to consider Burnley, in my opinion. I think there's other options before. I think there's other players we were going to want before them. I know you're going to talk about one of them later. So for me, I'm more interested in players like Broja and people like that than Burnley at this moment, but clearly they've got 4 games to rearrange.
Yeah, I'm talking from a planning perspective.
They haven't played at home by the time they play for 56 days.
Wow, I didn't realize that. That's crazy. I'm talking from a planning perspective. If we're looking to plan for doubles and blanks and all of that, and we're looking for players with games in hand, right? Attacking players with games in hand that are good enablers and are cheap, Burnley will come into the conversation. And if we're 100%. Stuck going like Salah to KDB to Ronaldo then we're not going to have the space to bring those players in. Southampton players, Burnley players, etc.
Totally. They're absolutely going to be in our pitch, in our thoughts. But for me, a little bit later, not just yet. Neymar, anything you want to add on the sort of like the long-term planning side of things for now before we move on to game week 24?
Yeah, I think it just really team dependent, but the strategies are really going to start diverging from here. So I think when we listened to Pranil last week, he was talking about following in Apple's footsteps of maybe being more template in the first 15 to 20 weeks and staying with the herd. But then now is when the exciting business end of the season comes. There's lots of doubles. I think everyone's got different chip strategies, different chips left. So I think a viable strategy I really like actually is if you didn't want a free hit in the big blank in 30, when you have 6 games that could be kind of off due to the FA Cup quarterfinal, you could actually dead end your team into that and wildcard out in around 31. So that is an option. And I think this next period where you've got, the double in 25 confirmed, there could be 1 or 2 more doubles added to that, Ben Crellin has said. 26, we've seen the Liverpool doubles slowly being added to it. Then there's the blank in 27. There could be a double for Arsenal in 28, 29. I think you've got to treat this period between now and 30, and you've got to set a plan for it. And whatever plan and route you now go down, you can't turn that ship around. So we're like at a crossroads, and all of us as FPL managers are going to have to make a decision that's right for our team. And that will get us players for the double in 25, will help you get Salah plus double fullback, or Salah, Jota, and Trent. Do that, then get through the blank, then get through the next double if Arsenal get one, then get through the massive blank in 30, and then it kind of maybe might realign a bit. But I think you've got to make a decision. Yeah, it's tough choices now.
Exactly. You might want to consider some Brighton assets as well.
Yeah, as well as the
United. Because they've possibly got 2 doubles.
So some people would, let's say, double. If you do the alternative, is you could wildcard in 28, for instance. If you had 2 free hits, you could then free hit in 30, because in 28 you wildcarded for a different set of fixtures than 30. There's so much exciting stuff to come. The triple captain will probably be out the way now for most of us. Even if you don't triple captain Salah, like, there will be some Mavericks on Trent and Robbo, I'm sure, maybe even Jota. So it's going to be a crazy week and crazy few weeks, I mean. But when we get to kind of game week 31 onwards, I think that's when it's going to be mental, because you've got the massive double game week in 36. That's going to be time when people are probably bench boosting if they still have it. Who's got 2 free hits here? Does anyone have 2 free hits? And
I don't know.
What are you leaning towards?
I've used one.
You've used one. I think you used one as well. Yeah. So what are you guys leaning towards? Because I was kind of constantly sure that I was going to just free hit in 30 when the big blank happens, wild card between kind of maybe 31 and 35 sometime, and then bench boost in 36, triple captain Salah in 26. That was a strategy. But now I'm wondering, therefore, how do I get through this period? So between I've got 2 United players. I've got De Gea and Dalot. So I'm going to have to get one of Ronaldo or Bruno, is my thinking, by 25. In 26, I've got my triple Liverpool already. So I'm not going to divert from that. Then the blank, maybe I bench them, right? So I bench maybe Salah and Trent in the 27 blank, but I sell Jota that week potentially.
Yeah.
So then it's all these different thinkings I'm having. And it's like, what do I do? So that's my so I think actually, in a weird way, these announcements have maybe finalized like my plan a little bit for now anyway. And then I have to re-strategize when I wildcard and use the free hit in 30. But that's kind of me. I don't know if either of you attempted to free hit in 27 instead of 30 with the 1 free hit you have.
I'm intending to get through 27 without free hitting.
Yeah, I think that's people with 1, that seems like the plan. Would you wildcard in 28, by the way? So anyone in that camp to attack the fixture swing?
Don't think so at this moment. I'm just going to sit and look at it. I think what we need to. When do we know the outcome of the FA Cup and who's?
It will be a while yet. So obviously this weekend at least, like we'll see who gets through the 4th round. So, but they'll still have to get through the 5th round. So we won't know before deadline, obviously, what's happening with that. But I think if you had 2 free hits, as Harry's saying in the chat, then free hit 27, I think it's probably a no-brainer in a way, because you can use that one and you could use the second one in 30 or in a future double. So I definitely like that. But my thinking is I am going to potentially decide about a wildcard 28. So although I'm going to free hit in 30 because I only have 1, I might still wildcard in 28 rather than that 31 to 35 stretch.
I'll probably do that.
That's what I'm wondering, because I always leave it late and I only give myself 5-6 weeks, right, for it to like give me benefit. Maybe sometimes 3-4 weeks.
I think for me, I mean, it's always good. You've got to have a fluid way of playing the game, right? And there's still a lot more announcements going to come out in the coming weeks. It's going to be a lot clearer. We've already got a little bit of clarity come through, even albeit not confirmed, but what appears to be a bit more clarity about what's going on tonight. What more? What else are we going to hear in the coming days? It's this strategy. You have to make sure. We have to look at what we can only play what's in front of us. So for now, yes, by all means, let's think about different strategies. But everything could flip flop one way or the other. Quite frankly, depending on what they're going to announce. But I do think I'm going to try and get through 27 without free hitting. I almost certainly will be selling Jota. I think he is going to become more of a rotation risk going forwards. He's the easiest one to offload. And, looking at Liverpool's defensive side of things, I'm particularly interested now in Robertson.
So what do you think about the question then, that should people potentially look at moving from Jota to Salah for a hit and actually use that to get to the double defense for the double game week instead of sticking with Jota?
It's an interesting one. I think as somebody who holds Jota and has cash in the bank, I probably will aim to go in with both of them for that. I think attack-wise, I think it's a particularly juicy set of double fixtures for attack. Yes, of course, you could get those double returns. but I don't know I'd do that jump yet. I think it's an extra move, isn't it? Who else do we want now? Do we want some Aston Villa assets? Do we want, we've got Dean, we've got Coutinho, we've got Watkins, we've got players like that who are on our shopping lists for sure. So, is that an extra move that we don't necessarily need to make now? Wildcard, I think it's an extremely good option.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Now?
I think 20.
No.
28.
If I was wildcarding, I think the double Liverpool defense, I think I really quite like.
If you were wildcarding, the Rubber Ducky's saying he's taking it 1 week at a time at the moment. I think I agree, and Akib says he forgot what his team looks like, so I agree about that too. I think you just got to open the website a couple hours before the game week. See who you don't want to use that week. Just hit transfer out, see what's available to you. That's how I'm playing, but I still like to have that meta long-term plan
just hope to God you haven't drunk 3 bottles of wine before you open the website. That's the key.
No. Last time I noticed between 2 venues, I was asking Dredd, and he was like, "Yeah, I did my moves, at the Wings place when we ate food earlier." I'm like, "Oh, right." And then I was like, "So wait, am I like going to risk going there and making my transfers after drinking happy hour with people?" I was like, no, I can't risk that. So I made sure I pulled the trigger on the transfer before I walked in.
I explained my Boxing Day conundrum before, didn't I? Yeah, it wasn't pleasant. Anyway, let's keep going. I think that's good. That's a great section, guys. I think that's really very, very important to look at the longer range stuff at the moment in a bit of detail. So we've done that quite well. I think what we'll do, because we've spent so much time on this, I think what we'll do is we'll whiz through the matchups, because I think we're going to, Gabe, I want to give you some time to talk about some of the new players. Okay. So let's very quickly look at the matchups for this week. And Liverpool have a brilliant matchup of 5. It's about as good as I've ever seen. And there you have Jota sat on the screen looking, I think quite happy, because he's going to come up against a right bedraggled set of foxes, isn't he? Let's face it. For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake.
Clever. Look at you. Top of your game, Mariner.
Top of my game. Who have they got? They've got what's his name? Soyuncu. They've got Thomas. Soyuncu. What's his name? What's his name off Shrek? What's his name off Shrek? What do they call him?
Farquaad.
What does Tom off Lord Farquaad call him?
Lord
Farquaad. Lord Farquaad. They've got Lord Farquaad. They've got Thomas, Amate, Vestergaard, and possibly, let's say, Justin, right? That's it. And the reason I know that, well, as far as I know, that's it, because I actually looked on Hub for their points predictions. Everyone else is on 0, the defenders.
They are. What do you guys think about this question from Utkarsh? So Zoffy saying, what about Robertson being rotated in that Norwich game? Because it's only a few days before Leeds and they are a very physical team. And we've seen Tsimikas obviously being competent, cover, right?
But is Jota also in that boat now?
That's the question. Maybe they're
because
both
I think he
equal.
Probably is. I think he probably is in that boat now, especially if Mane is going to have a little bit of time off, right? I'd imagine coming back from. They're probably both going to have a little bit of a rest. Mane
I hope
and
not.
Salah.
I think they might still try to push City to the title and this rotation everyone's talking about.
I don't know. I still think they'll rest a little. They may rest a little. They may play, but they may rest.
They might come off the bench against Leicester, I think. But after that, I think it's fair game. But there is obviously the valid point of Champions League and FA Cups and adding all of that.
4 days from the cup final as well, right? The double game, the Leeds game, yeah. But yeah, for me, bedraggled foxes. Super matchup for Liverpool. We'll talk about Jota later.
Just really, has Robertson been actually rested in the past? Do we have evidence that Klopp does that with Robertson and Tsimikas? Because
he wasn't great in form. So earlier this season, I'd actually say Tsimikas was the better fullback.
He was better.
But in the last 6 or 7 weeks, Robbo's clearly back to his best, you would say. So
Robbo's on fire. I don't
see him undroppable. It looks undroppable to me.
That's what I think. I don't see Robertson being sat now that he's playing so well.
Yeah. So anyway, next with the matchups, we've got City at 3.4. So money's no object. KDB. Money's no object.
So Combe asks about keeping De Bruyne until 26. Obviously, he has him, and then moving back to Salah or should he just be moving now back to Salah? I would wait if I didn't have Salah. I think I have him, but if I didn't, I would happily take KDB or Bruno's points.
I like KDB. I like KDB a lot
long term
at this moment in time. I like him a lot. I couldn't quite. Well, I could, but I would have had to have been super aggressive last week, and of course, I wasn't. I played in my shell a little bit, which was silly. Otherwise, I would have been. There's a very good chance I'd have been captain in KDB this week. Foden, another option.
That's who I got instead of KDB. So in some ways, I'm bitter, obviously, just this game week in mind. But long term, I still think I like him. And I actually do wonder if De Bruyne does get his minutes managed more when the Champions League comes, if they've got a clear gap at the top of the table.
We've got to keep an eye on that, as we said in the special, because as I said, one of the biggest failings of me last year was just sleepwalking straight into Manchester City's rotation. We really have to keep an eye on that this year. If there's one lesson I'm going to learn, it's the effect of late season Champions League if things are done and dusted.
Especially if they're looking like they could go and win that.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Then we've got Spurs at 2.9. Son, apparently, going to be fit for the Cup. There was a rumor.
He's back. No, he's back. Fully confirmed now. He'll play against Brighton in the Cup and maybe off the bench. Maybe he starts.
Nice to have Sonny back. Another option. And then we've got West Ham with Antonio and Bowen against Wise Watford. Now, we don't know what Wise Watford's going to turn up like. But I'm not selling him. Not in front of that game. No way. Both starting. He can. Roy might be able to create miracles, but not in a couple of days. Maybe not with Watford. That's the way I look at it. What do you reckon, boys?
I'm curious. Is Roy gonna kill those attackers? Is Dennis now dead to us? I don't know. I
think they're dead anyway, Gabe. So
I'm telling him anyway.
Yeah, I think it's more painful when you own the double because you're definitely going to get rid of one, I reckon, with the fixtures coming. But if you only had the one, they're not that expensive, right? If you got them cheap,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're not absolute must drops for me. I'm just curious to see what Roy's effect on that attack is going to be. But on the matchups in general, I'm looking at these matchups, and the matchups aren't great this week. They're kind of sticky and they're quite neutral. And I found this doing the matchups analysis and choosing the roomy pick and all of that. It's nothing really lines up in terms of matchups this week. So I think there could be a lot of variance. I think there could be a lot of unexpected turns, a lot of disappointing results, maybe some tight cagey affairs at 1-1s and stuff like that.
It's possible. Definitely possible.
That's what I see in these numbers here.
The standout fixtures, and then there's a lot of drops.
It's top heavy, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Let's look at defense, and there we go. Manchester City at the top, and a player who I still owning as I own Payne in my great friend Payne in Diaz, and Cancelo. Right, I can't get to Laporte, but I wish I could. I'll tell you what, I really fancy their defense in the coming weeks. Still, I've no intention of moving away from that double City defense at this exact moment. Laporte is still a very, very good option for me, and he's got a bit of 1.38 shots in the box per 90. A little bit of 0.17 big chances per 90. He's going to get a chance. But saying that, so is players like Diaz get chances as well. Please. I wouldn't move sideways to him. But
no, I think double City defense.
If I was shopping for a City defender right now and I own Cancelo, he would be the man.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think just that extra saving as well. He seems pretty nailed on, so I'd be very happy with that. What do you think about, obviously, people were picking last week between Dean as well from Everton. So not Everton, Aston Villa even. I'm thinking at Everton because I was thinking about Lampard and stuff as well, the new signings, but we'll get to new signings later. So I think for me, just something that this is throwing up for me right now. I'm a bit nervous here. I've got Dalot starting, Before that, I had Williams starting in my bus team because of the points he got me. And now I'm looking at this, and they're like 1.6, and United's 0.8, West Ham's 0.5. So at a minimum, I put Dawson third on the bench behind Williams now. I put Williams ahead of Dawson, but Dalot is still starting. I'll wait and see. Like, I celebrated my Williams points, but then Dalot outscored him right in the next day. So
did you see my notes about Williams?
No, I have not.
Because I've got Williams Nima written down.
Yeah. You're 0.2% EO. And I was at the event when you got the
I had the news. I saw earlier on because I was chit-chatting on Twitter earlier on, and one of the players who I've been trying to get out my team for absolute eternity is Livramento, and I haven't been able to. And do you know what? I needed a tiny bit of cash, and I actually thought of Williams, actually. But now it looks like Livramento's going to be fit again, just in time for Southampton. Hopefully Southampton having a double game week, right? So that'll be very nice. So probably that's off my list now, but that's it's a decent matchup, isn't it? 1.6 for Norwich. Spurs, Gabe, 2.3. Who, though? And would you still look are we still interested in Spurs defense?
Who though?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't spend a lot of money. If I was going for one, it'd be Davis, probably.
Yeah. I guess on a budget, I guess that's fine. I think I'd prefer someone like Ait Nouri. Save yourself like 0.2 or something like that. You get a better player on a better defensive team that attacks.
Just looking at it from a perspective of this matchup, really. And
even this matchup, yes, Spurs are second, but 2.3 isn't great.
It's not bad for defense. It's not bad for defense. I don't see a lot higher normally.
I don't know. Spurs are playing Southampton at home. I don't know. I don't think it's enough to jump on. It's not. I'm looking for over 3. It's like, okay, that's a good defensive matchup. Then I might be jumping on it. But in this case, and knowing it's Spurs, they did sign Bentancur, which should help in the midfield. We'll get to that in a little bit here. But I think they still have problems on the flanks.
Fair enough. We'll jump over the averages. We've talked about both, so people can just be able to look at those anyway. So, Gabe, let's quickly have a look at your stuff then. So, what you're going to have a look at Crystal Palace, especially for Hibbo.
Someone's dedicated to Hibbo.
Dedicated to Hibbo, who we really enjoyed having on the show last week. But yes, let me put this up onto the screen for you. So, you're going to chat about Edouard, Elise, and Palace attack in general. Because, to be honest, I mentioned last week, didn't I, how much Elise really caught my eye. I was, on the eye test, I was very impressed by what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So, and anyway, here we go. We'll let you loose, sir, for a few minutes.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of chatter, right, about Elise and Edouard, less so about Mateta there. But so I wanted to take a look at them a little more closely because I didn't feel like I had a good grasp of them and what their roles are and how they fit, kind of like how that offense is working. And I thought it was quite interesting. So I'm just going to show kind of one example just in the interest of time. But I came across several, and in my article, which should be coming out probably maybe this evening, if not on Friday, it shows a couple examples just to kind of hammer in the point. So what Palace do is they squeeze the midfield. They like to apply pressure in central midfield and basically just kind of plug gaps to force mistakes. So this is an opportunity that comes from one of those mistakes. What's interesting is Edouard's role is he drops in, he plays that 9, but he drops in to help eliminate the back pass to the central defender. And that role, the way he does that is so important, and it's so smart of him to do that. For me, that's really good coaching by Patrick Vieira there, to instruct him to do that, because then the opposing midfielders have no outlet when they run into a wall, which is the midfield 3 of Yellowman, Will Hughes, Gallagher, and Schlupp Gallagher on the right side of central midfield, Schlupp on the left side there. When they run into that wall, then they turn to go backwards. There aren't any outlets there. So that's what Edouard does really well. Olise, he lines up on the right. Mateta is on the left, although Mateta does like to come inside. He likes to kind of switch off with Edouard. He likes to come in and play the 9. So in this first image, Palace recover the ball in their half and find Edouard as the point. He's inside the center circle as Olise is taking off on the right side of that center circle, and Mateta is further wide on the left side, but he's quite wide. But you can see Mateta angling his run inside, which I'll get to in just a second. That angle is a mistake. So here's the next slide. The play develops. Edouard brings the ball past the center circle. Olise continues his run. He's a little bit wider now. Olise went a little bit wide to create some space between himself and Andy Robertson there that's tracking him. But look how Mateta just kind of closes down the space. If Mateta stays wide there, right, there's then the defense, then Van Dijk and Robertson, they stay separated and a gap stays open there. But Mateta comes inside and helps the defense get compact, right? As I think that's Fabinho trailing Mateta there. So that makes Olise the only option. This is an inefficient attack developing here. And I feel like Palace do this a lot. They get confused in their runs. They make the wrong runs when they're attacking. And then we'll get to just a second when Edouard passes the ball to Olise here, the next slide. He takes him a little bit wide. Olise he's a great player. He's really silky and smooth. He has these long legs that he can move in kind of almost like a less powerful Doucouré style, but he's slow. And he slows the ball down and that stalls the counterattacks. So in this one we see Mateta has forgotten that Edouard is even on his team, and he's just kind of like run right in front of him, which is unfortunate. But this could be turned into a positive, because what Mateta has done now is he's brought all 3 defenders together into one spot, and then the space is opened up behind those defenders. Edouard, if he recognizes that space and behind the defenders, he could wrap around in towards the penalty spot, and Olise could find him, and this is, this turns into a sure goal. But Edouard doesn't see that space. Again, it's an inefficient attack that they don't recognize space well. They slow down counterattacks. And this is usually a bad thing. We'll get to the next slide. In Palace's case, it's not a bad thing. So Palace's front 3 are inefficient, but they're also technically quite able. Like Olise is a very technical player. That they can all dribble and they can all hold the ball up. So while they lack in exploding on a counterattack, their inefficiency allows Gallagher's late runs to kind of catch up. So while the defense is shifting, trying to adapt to these 3 front players holding the ball and making runs, even if they are inefficient runs, Gallagher has time to get in the mix there, and he's the one that runs hardest for those late runs. Schlupp likes to make some late runs as well, but no one's running in there as hard as Gallagher, and that's why Gallagher gets these opportunities. It's precisely because Palace's attack or counterattack is inefficient. So I found that this kind of dynamic to be really interesting, how it works. And I think this is really great for the long-term sustainability of Gallagher. I think Gallagher is a great long-term hold. Olise, I think, is going to remain inconsistent because he will be kind of that support player that doesn't get enough penetration and that ends up maybe providing service or will assist the assister. And I think Edouard is probably, as far as the forwards go, the one that you can trust most. From an FPL perspective, I think he'll be inconsistent, but from a reliability and team perspective, I think Palace really need him. They need him to drop and block the passing lanes, and they need him to kind of to be the point man and distribute.
Oh. I think Akim in the chat as well. Akim. I don't know whether he means that about
you're going to tell me I was on mute the whole time, aren't you?
No. We got it all.
No, I was on mute. Sorry.
As I say, from my perspective, I thought Olise looked absolutely outstanding. I see what you're saying about Gallagher. It's an interesting one because there's a Nails Gallagher to Cornetto. What are you with Palace, Nima? What's your take on it? Are you interested?
Yeah, I have a soft spot for them as well in general. I do like the Palace. I've been there to watch Arsenal behind enemy lines, and I've pretended not to celebrate the Arsenal goals. It's been tough for me, but no, the reality is, I think bar my kind of issues with Zaha and the fact that I always felt like he could have done better, and he maybe his attitude perhaps didn't quite get him further in his career, but at the end of the day, I like what Vieira is doing. I like the players, the attacking options. I don't think I'd go near the defense as great as we're saying that they might be, and telling people, they're not an easy target for captaincy against. But for the attacking options, I've seen a lot of people benefit from the likes of Gallagher and Edouard. I think his shot was for Zaha. Okay. Yeah, so Zaha can get the shot. Yeah, he's allowed that comment. But as great and talented a player as he is, as I said, the attitude, it does bother me a bit. And I saw a little bit of it at the AFCON too. So anyway, moving on, I would say for me, like as a Sky player this year for the first time, Gallagher's like you just have to own him. Like if you don't have him, you're screwed. Like that's how many points he gets in that format because of everything else he does. So I really like him. I don't think right now I'd be looking at a Palace player. So for me, when I'm looking at the same slot, the same price point for Edouard or Gallagher, I think someone like a Ward-Prowse or a Broher from Southampton, that's where I would be going at this point in time. I think I'd prefer that as my target. Or if you've got a bit more budget, maybe like a Leicester mid. So again, that's something I would look at. I think maybe later on the time for Palace will come, but personally, like it's not something I'd be going near if I didn't own it right now.
So that's surprising to me. Ward-Prowse over Gallagher for you?
Yeah, I think so. Just because of again, like what I've seen, like he is for me now like the best set piece taker in the world over years. Like it's not any accident. And remember when you were telling us that episode about how he kind of took a type of free kick that he's never taken, and he said, "Oh, I tried it for like a couple hours, or I tried it earlier today for the first time, that technique, and I'm so glad it went in." And I'm thinking Ronaldo's taken like a few hundred free kicks in the last few years and yet to score one in that time. So
yeah, they've also got they've also got four pretty miserly defenses to face in the next 7 or 8 game weeks as well. They've got Chelsea in game week 26. They've got Wolves away in 28, City at home in 29, and then they've got to play the mighty Arsenal as well in game week 31. So before they play Leicester, who may well have a lot of players back by then. So it's a tough
I think
one
I'd still
for me.
go over them.
I like the look of them, but my gut feeling is probably not too Nima. Actually, I'm probably not. I think there might be better options out there.
Oh, you're talking about Palace's fixtures, so they got Chelsea, Wolves, City, Arsenal, Leicester. No, for me, that's why I kind of, even though the fixtures on the ticker for FPL look okay, like obviously they got Norwich this week and they got Brentford.
couple of good weeks.
Yeah, but then when I look at like Chelsea, Burnley, Wolves, City, I'm not sure I like that spell. So I think again, like if you had the Palace players, I assume you'd already have them now. I wouldn't be selling them before Norwich and Brentford, of course.
No,
but like if you had neither, then I would definitely be looking at the Southampton players. I know they, at the moment this week, have Tottenham and United. So they're actually a quite nice hop-off. So if you had a Palace player, once their 2 tasty fixtures up, you could then move to Southampton. Because from 26, they have Everton, Norwich, Villa, Watford, Burnley, Leeds. So, that's a nice little swap team.
Yeah, I agree.
So just really quickly on Ward-Prowse for those that are looking to him, and I'm definitely not one of them but for the Nimas of the world, there are actually
I don't think Gabe agrees with you, Nima.
He's another one that gets great points in something like Sky. So a lot of my decisions now are more influenced by like if I think someone's a baller as well. And remember that whole thing about enjoying watching them. So I think a lot of that's creeping in for me. But I got to remember some formats don't reward you for vibes.
So I don't agree with Nima, but I'm going to say something in favor of Ward-Prowse here. So Ward-Prowse, he faces, let's see, United in 25, Everton in 26, Norwich in 27. United have given up the second most attempts from set plays. Norwich have given up the fourth most attempts from set plays, and Everton have given up the fifth most attempts from set plays. So those three fixtures, like that run of three, could be Ward-Prowse could be a sneaky differential, I think. So good shout, but not for me.
Anyway, Gabe, back to you. We're now going to. I'll let you say his name.
Rodrigo Bentancur.
Good.
I was looking to see what's going on here. So
I'm not good. I'm not going to destroy
Juventus
his
shirt.
name. I'm not going to destroy his name. But just very quickly, then, Gabe, let's have a quick look at Rodrigo.
So Spurs signed two kind of impact players from Juventus. Rodrigo Bentancur is one of them, and I really like Bentancur. He has a motor on him. You can see from the heat map here from the SofaScore, he's all over that midfield. You can see the stats kind of back it up. Look how even those stats are. Attack on the top, technical, like his technical ability on the right. Tactical is bottom right, bottom left is defense, and top right is creativity. And it's pretty even all the way around, right? So these are like the signs of a true 8. And the one thing that struck me about Bentancur is that he averages he's averaging this season 6.4 duels per match won. So if you are playing a Sky format, I think you get points for duels. Is that right, Nima?
No, I'm not sure for duels. So it's mainly for I guess it's kind of possession one. So I guess that is what. So I guess duels encompasses many things, including possessions one. Yeah, but you get like a passing bonus, tackling bonus, shooting bonus. Yeah, that kind of stuff. So
I see. He could be an option in Sky. I'm not familiar. He would be an option in Bundesliga. I know that because you do get points for duels won. But I put that there, the duels won, because I think that's what Spurs really needs in that midfield. Somebody that can go all over the midfield, win balls for them, and with the same ability that he wins the balls, he can distribute. So I think that's a really clever signing from Spurs.
Very
that's
positive.
That's gonna help that midfield. Yeah.
Okay. And
then we have Dejan Kulusevski. So Kulusevski,
well pronounced.
Thanks. I looked it up. So before I even qualify Kulusevski, I'll just get right into the analysis here. But I'll preface it with the fact that he lost his starting spot to Juan Cuadrado this season, and I'm going to show you why. So here we have the ball on the right hand side. This is the Juventus against Roma game, the game that finished 4-3. Juventus came back in another Mourinho meltdown, which was great. But we have it's kind of hard to describe for the people in the podcast, but basically there's a lot of the play has shifted heavily over to the right hand side. Roma has shifted to their left hand side to defend it, and Kulusevski here, he sees a gap in the defense. The ball's on the right wing, and Kulusevski runs to penetrate this gap in the defense. But there's a player pressuring the ball, and the run that Kulusevski's making is right behind the players that's pressing the ball. So this run really is going to serve no purpose, because even if the number 4 follows him, right, then I think that is Locatelli on the inside there. He can't take that space that Kulusevski's creating because it's blocked by the player that's pressuring the ball. So rather than run kind of through that gap on the outside, Kulusevski should be bending his run inside. That's Chris Smalling, number 6 for Roma, defending him. Then if Chris Smalling follows him, then he's opening up space for maybe Morata to fill in. Morata's there on the wing making that other run. Or he opens up maybe a passing lane to Locatelli here. So this is hold on one second. This is from Kulusevski's part. This is just poor decision making. Right? He's making the wrong run here, and he's shutting down the attack. So number 1, poor decision making. Number 2, here in this one I label poor awareness. So the ball is on the right-hand side for Juve. Kulusevski, you should see the play before this. He actually steps right in front of the ball. There's a defender marking him, and he steps right in front of the ball, and he's preventing a potential low cross for Locatelli's number 27 in the middle there. there could be a low cross there if Kulusevski would get out of the way. Or if Kulusevski pulls back, he could be in space to take a shot himself in between the two defenders there on the right side. But instead, he plugs the gaps and he brings the defenders more compact. So we have, what do we have? We have poor decision making, we have poor awareness, and then the third one.
Poor finishing.
Poor finishing.
That's what you don't say. Anyway.
So I went back and I watched all of Kulusevski's goals in the Serie A. He scored, I think, 21 or 23 goals in the Serie A. I watched them all back to when he was with Parma, and he's a terrible finisher in general. Now, he has improved, so I do have to give him credit. He's so on this one, this was actually a goal. So I have to give some credit to him. But he's in so much space here. We see there's a defender behind him. Everyone else is packed inside the 6, where he's just outside the 6. He just has to put his leg through it, which he does. But this ball goes off the ground. He's leaning back and somehow finds a way to hit this ball into the ground. The technique is just terrible. And so to compare this to his other shots, the shots he's taken in the past, even his goals. So the positive about the way he shoots, he has a strong mastery of the inside of his foot, and especially if it's a first-time shot, he knows how to really bend it around players and around goalkeepers. And so he's left foot dominant. So he likes to cut in. He likes to play the inside right forward spot, cut in and bend that ball around. Now the negative is he's very flat with his shot. So he leans sideways and he hits the ball very much only with his side. He never puts his laces through it. And sometimes he'll lean sideways and he'll cross his leg across. He'll put his leg across his body on the follow through. And that takes power away from the shot because your leg is coming across the body. So you can't put your hips through the ball. And it makes you like scuff the shot quite a bit. And you see a lot of that happening with Kulusevski. So, I mean, unfortunately for Spurs, I think they're in a bit of a mess here with the Kulusevski. I don't know what they expect from him. I'm assuming they're going to start playing a 3-4-3 with Rodrigo Bentancur in the middle, probably with Højbjerg. Maybe have Højbjerg sit and Bentancur just kind of roam a little bit more. And up front, I'm expecting to see Kane and then Son and Kulusevski as the inside forwards. But I'm afraid that Spurs have purchased a donkey here.
That's so evil. It's like all their hope. I was thinking they had such a great window, no, but I think. Oh wow, okay, it's Grimsby. Yeah, anyone. Sure. At any time Mariner sees a black and white striped shirt,
exactly.
or Juve, he can't help himself.
No, I can't. It's the moment I see the black and white, it's like, it's Grimsby.
Yeah, so my perspective is that he's someone who I've kind of thought, Arsenal were linked to him. Maybe it would be an interesting option. And when I looked into it, I kind of concluded that, the wingers we already have are head and shoulders above him. And I'm not interested. He is young. He is obviously a talent, but I'm not convinced that he's the answer to the problems at Spurs. I think they've been missing a playmaker since Eriksen left, and they do rely too much on creating from the wing backs. And we saw the stats the other day where they had like the record, I think it was, for the most attempted crosses that didn't make it into the recipient. So although Kulusevski might be more direct and he might kind of help them with the attack, I still think Son and Kane are the only two attackers I'd personally be buying from Spurs. And I am excited by them, actually. So even before I'd heard the Son news, Kane was someone who I was considering, but now I think both are back on the table.
If you want a comedy show, I'm really excited to see Kulusevski and Emerson Royal together, getting in each other's way, sending balls all over the place. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Jared said Spurs have purchased a donkey here.
I think all the Arsenal fans are rejoicing with that quote. They're not going to let me live that one down.
I'm sure that some of our Spurs friends are not going to be very happy with you when they listen back later. But thankfully, they don't seem to be here live right now. So
you guys have run them all away.
Yeah, it's probably me frightening them all off, right? But anyway, I don't even take the piss out of Arsenal anymore. I can't.
He's moved on to a new target.
And also, I'm coming to London soon, so I don't want to get taken out the back of the pub and get a good hiding.
He's just found out that Plonker is an Arsenal fan, and he's worried that he's going to end up on the next
it looks like a big lad. I better behave myself. Yeah,
with the tight shirts and all the
I might
muscles.
end up wearing a drink.
You thought it was going to be a quiet one. Are you still landing the day before, do you think? So you'll be jet lagged?
Maybe 2 days before now.
Okay, that would help a lot.
Yeah, maybe.
In this situation.
Just maybe. We'll see. It's going to be, I am going to be asleep in the corner and you end up shaving one of my eyebrows off or something like that.
The eyebrow. That's what they're going to shave.
Ball shavers. Don't you bring them ball shavers with you?
Just a good comment from Akin before we go on. So he's talking about, Kulusevski is an Adama replacement. So I think it does add up, to be fair, because they did spend the whole window, Tottenham, trying to get Adama and buy him. So obviously once he went to Barcelona, I guess they had to find the most like-for-like option out there in the market.
So there we go. Gabe, thank you very much. I think everybody's really delighted to see you back doing your analysis again.
It feels good.
Good to have you back, my friend.
It's good to have the inspiration back.
Yes, no, it's great to see. We love you. We love the stuff that you do. And very interesting. It always generates a lot of conversation in the chat, which is what the bit that I most like about it, quite frankly.
I have to go back and read that because I always miss it, I guess. So into it, and then I look up and you're smiling and interacting. I was like, I got to go back.
Yeah, no, excellent. So we're an hour in. So let's quickly now jump at the zonals for this week. And let's quickly see who's got the best zonal matchups for the week. So we broke the matchups up this week with Gabe's stuff for a change. So there we go. And zonals, well, Liverpool on the left. Robertson. Now, according to Hub, where I go for all my predictions these days, because I prefer them to anybody else, to be honest with you, 36% for a goal or an assist, and 46% for a clean sheet. Very nice. 3.9 matchup. Not a bad matchup at all for Robertson against, as we've said, a bedraggled set of foxes. United 3.9 as well. Tellez, is it? Would it be Tellez?
Could be sure. Who knows these days?
Could be sure. But Tellez is 21% goal or an assist and only 26% clean sheet. That says it all, right? I'm not sure whether we're going to get many clean. I'm not, as a De Gea owner, it does worry me. It concerns me a lot. At least he gets save points. And Everton's left. They've only got one left back now, as far as I can work out, and it's Mykolenko.
Yeah, I think so. I think I had a look at how Lampard could shape up. There was a great article on allaboutfpl.com from AK, who's got the captaincy metric of his own to compete with yours, Chris. So I'm sure we'll look at those. But he's also a great Hall of Fame manager and stuff. But essentially, his prediction was that Lampard's always going to play in like kind of a back four, and that's what he did in his first 2 years at Chelsea. But it's just whether it's more of a 4-3-3, which was the second year when he got some players, or a 4-2-3-1. And in that 4-2-3-1, with Decore being out for a month, you've got kind of the new signing Van der Beek sitting next to Allen, and you got Mykolenko in the left back, as you say. You got Allen and Mina. So you got Mina there fighting for one of the defensive spots, and then you got Keane, I believe. You also have Coleman fighting with a guy called Patterson that I'd never heard of on the right back. So fair play for him for knowing who the fuck Patterson is. And my main point is that after those kind of positions, the three attacking ones behind Calvert-Lewin, he's got it as Gray on the left, Dele Alli in the cam position, and Richarlison, if he is a starter, on the right. So that's quite interesting. And I think with this matchup, Gray, he's very cheap. It's quite an interesting option with this zonal matchup here. But for me, like I'd be kind of more excited by the likes of Calvert-Lewin and Gray with the new signings. I wouldn't personally be buying Van der Beek if he's going to be in that kind of double CM pivot at the back. Dele Alli, I'm not looking at yet.
As somebody who owns that prick, as Trigger Lips called it famously on the show. I'm pleased you said that, Nima, because I have to say I did get a little bit of a nervous twitch when about Gray. I thought, is he going to hold his spot? So
no, I think he'll become even better actually with what's happening. So just based on kind of how Lampard's played in the past, he likes to have one direct winger as well who gets into the box, is what AK was saying, and he likes to kind of win possession, I guess, and initiate counter attack. So a lot of pressure on the opposition.
There's one other player I want to mention as well. I know people are already on him. Some people had a little bit of a nice boost going on him last week. Dean, 3.7 there, home against Leeds, 40% for a goal or an assist, 32% for a clean sheet. That's a bit low, but for me, maybe, I don't know, but perhaps Leeds might get one. But
it's difficult, isn't it? Because I do like Dean and Villa, but when you got doubles coming up, you got people maybe looking at Brighton defenders for 25, United. Some of us have.
It's a Lamptey or a Dean sort of conundrum for me. I mean, I must say, you know, I do like Villa. Do I like them enough in defence to go for one? I'm not sure. I perhaps prefer Brighton.
I consider
Cucurella. Do I like Villa more attack than Brighton? The answer to that is yes.
Yes, no, I think Cucurella, I'd been going for Cucurella even last time when the last double happened. And, you know, I personally still think that he's just way more nailed on.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, but obviously, Villa may have a double coming up. So if that's the case, potentially good matchup for Dean this week as well.
I'd like to throw some cold water on Frank, if I may. Let's spoil the party. So Lampard's going to try to set up in that 4-3-3. He'll try, but Lampard, he does not know how to game manage. So when the 4-3-3 breaks down, and it will because, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But when it breaks down, Frank's not going to know what to do. So I think Everton attacking assets are very much a wait and see. I want to see which ones kind of emerge. It could be Gray, sure. It could be, I mean, it could be anybody really. I doubt it's going to be Richarlison, right?
He's the one I'm least convinced on.
I don't see those two getting along. But the reason Frank's system is going to break down is because he only has a system in theory. It's up in his head. And when his head meets reality, it never works because he tries to make his midfielders like him. Like he wants them all to be Franks. And
Franks running out there.
Yeah, mini Franks. Alan is not Frank. Alan will never be Frank, right? And just other players are not Frank. And you need different things, right? For example, you need your 6 when you're playing a 4-3-3, right? And you send your wing backs high, your center backs split, and you need your 6 to drop in there. Alan does not drop.
I do wonder though that if he does what he did at Chelsea and actually just starts with that 4-2-3-1, because he can't do the 4-3-3, as you say. He doesn't have that 6 to kind of sit back and own that midfield. It's a tough one for me. One thing I will say though about him is, talking of the tactics, as you say, and the inability perhaps to change things when plan A doesn't go right and breaks down. I think we saw it in the cup final against Arsenal, and there was a couple of water breaks, and in those times, like Lampard was just like walking around, not sure what to do with the water break, and Arteta just told them a couple of tweaks to make, and like they went and won the cup. So yeah. And I remember a year later as well, when Arteta was about to be sacked, we'd got 3 points out of 30 points in 10 games, and it was like this horrendous run, like the worst in our history. And at the time, Chelsea were like in the golden hour, and they were like media favorites, and they were flying across the league. And then Lampard kind of lost, and ultimately got sacked about a month later. But so I think the difficulty with some of these managers is, and the Ole's of the world and Franks of the world, is it looks like they know what they're doing when it's going really well, I think. And that maybe perhaps means that, yeah, like sometimes their plan does play out, but they don't seem to have like any alternatives, you're saying. Like we know that Ole was similar. He played the same 8 players through the ground. He played Rashford through injury. You know, they don't utilize their squad. So maybe with the amount Everton have invested, the amount of assets we think they have, maybe Frank can pick up his career a bit. Equally, I think the expectations are lower. So, you know, his only goal, I think, is to not get relegated this year and finish in the top half next season. That's not much to expect when you've spent perhaps the most net in the last 5 years of any club in England. It's pretty embarrassing, to be honest, that that's their ambition. And at least it gives him a bit more time and breathing room maybe to become the coach he could become. But let's wait and see, yeah.
Yeah,
at least Goodison Park won't be like a library, like it was when Rafa was there. Because it was. I brought Calvert-Lewin and Gray in to try and target that double that never happened, the double that never happened, right? And of course, then I sat and watched the game in utter disbelief and horror that the fans just were completely just gone. They were sat there. I don't think they're even watching the game.
There was no 12th man. Yeah, they weren't there like pushing.
Just awful.
The one thing I will say for Lampard, and this could galvanize the crowd, is that he is great with identifying and developing youth. He does have that ability, and I think Everton they do have some promising players. I think Anthony Gordon is a promising player, right? So there could be that there is some hope, but I wouldn't rely too much on tactics with Frank.
Fair enough. Let's quickly cover the centre and the right. So in the centre, Manchester City, Manchester United, and Arsenal all the same on 3.9. But those 3.9s, that's 3.9 chances per 90 when you look at attack against defence, right? Just to remind you, through the central third. They're not amazing. They're not bad numbers, Gabe, but they're not amazing numbers either. We've seen a lot higher than this before now. But I mean, I've put Foden up on the screen. We've already chatted a bit about City anyway. United, you're bringing Ronaldo back in, Nima. So I think
so. Yeah, I had a look, but you know what? It did remind me when I was tinkering. It reminded me of something that really pissed me off, which is when Son was out. I tried to do Son to Bruno that week, and I was 0.1 short. And then this week, I had a little look at what could I do with Saka. Like, could he become with his 5 million in the bank? Could he become Bruno for the double? And again, I was 0.1 short. So it just really rubbed that salt in the wound of those Bruno points. But I'm going to double down. I'm going to go back to Ronaldo most likely because I have both Dennis and King. I do want to get rid of one. So I think I'll do that. And I already have Salah on the bench. So I guess I'm just going to have to hope he gets some minutes against Leicester, even if it isn't a start. It's difficult for me. I think I do want Ronaldo, but I think Rafinha. So just to end on that, like I think I will probably look at doing something like rolling my transfer in Gameweek 24, having two of them, and doing 2 or 3 for a -4. So yeah, exactly. So Rafinha and Ronaldo, that's likely the route I'll go. Because my alternative is if I get Bruno, I'd be turning one of Dennis or King to Broha. And I don't know whether like Bruno plus Broha is better than Rafinha plus Ronaldo. And I already have Salah. And, I don't really want the double Watford to stay. So I think that's the route I'll go down just because it's very team specific to me.
As an owner of Bruno, I'm not that made up on it this week for some reason. I'm keeping him, but I'm not absolutely mad about him. We'll come on to that in the captaincy in a bit. I'm not all in on him by any means. In fact, I'm not all in on Manchester United by any means. And the only reason I'm probably still interested in them attacking wise is they've got a double game week in 25. I think there's still more we've got to see of them, really. But yeah, looking at the rights here side, Liverpool 5.1, but that's the Salah factor, isn't it? If he's not there, then, or he might be there for half an hour. So, might be enough for him. Manchester United 4.2, Everton 3.7. Then you got Watford and City 3.6. Obviously, we don't know who's going to play on the right for Manchester United. It certainly won't be one gentleman who remains nameless on this show. Never to be spoke again. Voldemort is his name from now on. But no, I'm not quite sure who's going to play down Manchester United's right. Do you know, boys?
I guess Sancho you would expect and hope, at this point that he is going to maybe revive his time in England and start afresh. I think it is tough in your first year anyway, but with Ole and what happened, I think it can shatter a young player's confidence no matter how much they go for. Like, obviously, they don't pick their price, and sometimes those numbers can be a bit daunting and add extra pressure that you don't need when you're at that stage of development in your career.
Yeah. You picked Rafinha for the picture, Gabe, because I couldn't think of anybody today. I noticed this just appeared.
Yeah, that was a little gift for you there. I just think Rafinha's always an option regardless of matchup, and when he's it's 6th or 7th, but they're all quite clustered in there. Between Man United and say West Ham, there's 0.7 difference, right? So looking at those teams there, There's the obvious ones, right? There's the obvious Manchester United players. There's the obvious City players. And I think it's time to be looking at Rafinha again, back from international duty. I want him. I want him in my team.
What do you think about his double being Man United and Liverpool? So Man United home, Liverpool away. He obviously has Villa away and Everton away first. So is it a case that maybe it's better to get Rafinha from now to get the Aston Villa and Everton away points before United home and Liverpool away in the double? Or is it still a viable pick if you're purely buying him in 26?
I think he's always a good option. I think United. I don't think United is a tough matchup for him. Right?
It's not. I don't think it is
on United's left side is among the weakest in the league. And then what was the other one? Liverpool, right?
Well, it's Liverpool. So I mean, they can always concede. But is it? But it's Liverpool at home. Liverpool,
yeah,
they're away, aren't they? Liverpool at Anfield are much better.
Yeah.
But they also have Tottenham, Leicester in 27 and 28. And then it gets a bit better after those games. But I think maybe Leeds need to save themselves, though, right? Like they are literally like right now. I would put Norwich and Watford as the two teams to get relegated, which then really leaves Burnley, Newcastle, Leeds, Everton kind of in a relegation scrap. Yeah. So Leeds have to fix something, like otherwise they're getting relegated. So these games, whatever the fixtures might be in front of them, they're all cup finals as it stands.
Yeah.
All right. So Gabe, let's quickly look at the NetxG. That finishes off with the matchups before we then look at Rummy Pick, and then we do the captaincy. Then we'll take a few questions. It's a bit of a long show today, but we wanted to do your segments, so we're prepared to overrun because people have got nearly a week to watch this or listen to it. So
still
plenty of time
till deadline again.
Bite-sized chunks, boys. Bite-sized chunks. Gabe, tell us about NetxG this week. I can spot Manchester City leaping off the page at me.
Right. The only one over 2 at 2.55 is Manchester City home against Brentford. So a little bit different from the FDR in the sense that the FDR very much likes Liverpool as the best attacking team. NetxG likes Manchester City. So we have them high at 2.55. Second, interestingly, is West Ham. Home to Watford. Again, we mentioned that game. We might not know what this Watford team is about just yet. So anything against Watford, I think, take with a bit of a grain of salt. And then United away to Burnley, 1.73, and then Liverpool at 1.72. Highest chances for clean sheet are that. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. There we go. Man City, 45% chance of a clean sheet. Then Liverpool, 43% chance of a clean sheet. Anything else after that is kind of in the 30s. So it's bit of a coin toss there. And then 3 or more goals, your usual suspects here, Liverpool and City in 2 very nice matchups. That's the obvious, right?
And then Spurs. 23%, so a big drop. So
it's a big drop
for three plus, yeah. So 2.5 goals or more. So Liverpool 30%, City 32. Interesting. I mean, you're probably. I'm just thinking. You mentioned earlier on, didn't you, about Schmeichel? So Liverpool are getting tweaked back because Schmeichel is starting to eat into the XG. Or their XG that they're creating, the XG on target. So he's saving it, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And that's why they've dropped off a bit.
Yeah. So hold on, I'll bring it up here. I was looking at the last 6 matches, right, for Schmeichel. He started out the season in very, very deeply in the negative. And in the last 6, he's got a plus 2.5 XG prevented. So that's a little under half an XG per game that he's preventing there. So definitely a shift in his game.
Good job, right? Otherwise, they'd be putting the poor foxes down.
Yes.
No. Oh, God, I feel so sorry. I hate it when teams get so many injuries and things. It's really... It's bad. It must be terrible for them. Okay. Thanks, Gabe. Nima, anything you want to add on the NetxG? You don't often see this because this is not normally something which you're in on.
No, I know. I think the times I've looked at it is purely from I really like looking at the kind of 3+ goals percentages and 0 for the clean sheets. I think
Yeah.
it's a really nice alternative way of looking at it compared to bookies odds, for instance. And there's another lens to be using. So this definitely helps me apply a filter. I think when I'm picking like which defender to play out of like 3 of them, I'll be looking at the one with the highest 0 goals. And from my captaincy as well, I do like to look at the 3+. Although maybe with Salah back soon, captaincy becomes redundant again. But for now, it has not been redundant. So I do use this to filter a few things. But I think in terms of kind of podcast listeners, I do recommend you do come and look at the 1 hour 20, and it is on the screen just so you can see it, because I think visually there's a lot of information that is very helpful and you're missing out on perhaps in audio only format.
It does point you at your double City defense, though, doesn't it? Again. And it does point you at a potential double return for someone like Trent or Robbo as well. Quite frankly, that's if I was looking for players to be top of the FPL points for the week this week, I think I would be right. I'd be putting my money on Trent or Robbo. If you ask me. All right, that's that one. Gabe. The Rummy pick of the week. Now, Rummy, it's not a card game. I've worked it out. Apparently, it's something to do with a book.
Rummy has written a lot of books. Neiman knows Rummy well, I'm sure.
You know as well as I do that literature is not one of my strong points. I was explaining to you earlier this week that I'm reading a technical paper on alternative fuels at this moment. So there we go. That's my life.
That's your version of literature.
Yes, absolutely.
Horses for courses, Mariner, I think is what your people say.
I think so. Something like that. Anyway, go on then.
So the Rummy pick of the week, Mariner, open your heart to the retired carpenter. Things didn't work out so well for last week's Rummy pick in Jacob Ramsey. He got his 3 points, got that clean sheet for the extra point of clean sheet for a midfielder, but didn't get any attacking returns, unfortunately. But I'm going back to the Villa well because I see a team in Villa that's improving, that's defining their identity with under Gerrard, and a team that is strengthening well in terms of signings and selling players. It's a good operation, and I think they're improving week to week. So Watkins has not had Ollie Watkins hasn't had a return since game week 17. But this is the quote from Rumi: "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." So we get hurt from the past, right? And these walls get put up, and maybe some people were hurt. We were talking about Ollie Watkins a few weeks ago when we thought Villa would have a double, and then they didn't have a double, and then Watkins, then they missed a week, and so on and so forth. So we stopped talking about Watkins. But with the, now that the chatter has died down, right, I think it's a perfect time to bring him back up in conversation. Watkins is up against a Leeds side who has conceded a grotesque 37 chances from the center of the field in the last 6 matches, compared to 11 from the left and 27 from the right. That's such a gross disparity that what's up with the mask?
I'm just trying to put you off.
It just hit me now. I know. Sorry.
I'm sorry, mate.
I got lost there.
Sometimes
I got lost.
So
yes,
right.
these chances down the middle, and he hasn't been producing. So people are a little bit cold on him, and when people go cold on a player with an opportunity, that's kind of the perfect signs for a Rumi pick.
I really like it. I really like it. I really, really, really like it. The issue is I own Calvert-Lewin, who is going nowhere now, and I own Antonio, and he's going nowhere because he's playing Woislot.
Yeah,
and then Dennis. That's the only option. I could go Dennis to Watkins, but then then I've got to do something different because my initial plan at this moment is probably going to be Coutinho.
I really like Coutinho,
for Smith Rowe.
Yeah, I do like Coutinho. I think there was some talk of Buendia as like a more ultra differential option at his price point. I think he's great at the lower price point, and Jacob Ramsey as well. We've talked about before, so I think all three of those Villa mids at each of those brackets are fantastic, depending on what player at what price point you need to replace. Watkins, I really do love though. I think he's the one who's going to benefit the most from all the changes to the Villa team, but at the same time, maybe one of my Dennis or King can move towards him, but until I see that guaranteed double, it's difficult for me to buy a single game week player just because I'm a lottery kind of man, and every double game week that's coming now, I feel like I need to move one double game week to the next. It's just constant 1 week ahead I'm playing.
Yeah, you almost. I mean, I'm. There's a little bit of punt in there with the Villa asset, I think, because I think everything I've read is that they're fairly confident that Villa is going to get a double game week fairly presently, right? Now, and I think the matchup, they're playing Leeds. I'm sure it is Leeds, isn't it? They're playing Leeds. I think someone like Coutinho could cause havoc, right, against Leeds, the same as Watkins, quite frankly. But I think it just depends who it fits. For me, I think Smith Rowe, sadly, as much as I've enjoyed the ride with ESR, I think it's time to say goodbye and probably move to 5 across midfield. At this moment, I would keep Gray. I will own Gray as well. So, yeah, that's probably where I'm going. But I don't dislike the Dennis to Watkins move either, and I could do that too.
I think that move there's a bigger delta going Dennis to Watkins than there is going Smith Rowe to Coutinho.
It's just his blanks, right? He's got some blanks as Smith Rowe.
I think he's going to get. I think
he is going to get a double somewhere.
I think it'll be 28 or 29, so it is a while away. But he might end up having his one of his 2 blanks. It could end up being a single game week in 25. So I am still keeping an eye on those fixtures. Obviously, we've got a week almost till deadline. But I have Saka, not Smith Rowe, and I'm trying to make a decision. I think I keep him for this Wolves fixture, and then I'll probably sell him as part of a double move when I sell one of Dennis King in 25.
That Wolves fixture's not. They're quite a tough nut to crack defensively, right?
They are, yeah, especially at home.
Could be last on match of the day, that game.
No.
Could easily be. For me, it's that type of game, I think. All right, Gabe, thank you. I'm sorry for taking the mick out of you, as always. If people are listening to this, I managed to don, since I'm in Singapore and we're all addicted to wearing masks, I managed to don a surgical mask halfway through it just to try and
throw me off.
Just to try and throw him off.
I think if we don't do these things, the haulers will riot. They expect this from us now.
They'll riot. They'll riot, won't they? And they're going to riot if we don't play our famous advert as well. So they'll riot if we don't say,
What are you waiting for?
Are you craving more FPL content? Then look no further than allaboutfpl.com. Head over there for weekly articles from some of the top content creators on the planet. So what are you waiting for? Head over to allaboutfpl.com, the website for all your FPL needs.
There we go. What are you waiting for? We'll have to add that into our ball shaving advert, Nima.
I think so. And on that note, guys, it is only initially a 1-month trial. So so we've got to make sure that we really use the product first, as I said. But if the haulers did want to support us, and we did manage to have 10 people use the code to get their 20% off at the time, they will actually enter a long-term paid partnership, which would help us obviously grow the channel. Yeah, just 10. I might buy the 10 myself if no one else steps up. I have one person has said they'll support us, by the way, a fellow writer. But
I'll buy one for Kieran for Christmas next year.
I'm going to buy a few for the next few Christmases if we get
Christmas presents. Yeah, we'll get it there. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Might be a bit obvious if it's exactly 10 and they're all being posted.
Come on, haulers. You know you want to do it. You know you want to do it. Your wife wants you to do it. Shave those crackers.
It's the responsible thing to do. It's the compassionate thing to do.
Shave those undercrackers.
I think on that note, I'll play the little jingle for the metric for you before you put the slide up.
Oh, go on then. Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm that busy talking about bollocks. I'm always talking bollocks anyway, aren't I? That's what people tell me anyway. There we go. Captaincy metric. How are we doing? We're sneaking back up towards 80% again. We're at 78% because the metric happened to pick KDB. So if you followed the metric, you should be a very happy hauler.
I
So there we
didn't
go.
follow the metric. Yeah, I bought Foden and I captained Dennis.
Yeah.
And I even took someone out of captaining KDB.
I was going to bring him in and change my bloody mind. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, God. This game, sometimes it drives me bloody mad, honestly.
Oh, we've got Steve here as well. He is the man he's the first ball shaver buyer, so he's going to support the cause. So
I'm not sure we should put him on the screen just in case it might frighten him off. We better not, his surname's on it. We better not put him on the screen. No, we can't say that. No. We'll keep that anonymous, Steve. Okay, but thank you anyway. Welcome to the world of polished crackers.
Net That Haul has become a relationship saving show. We will save your relationship. Shave those balls.
I'm growing my beard until the lawnmower arrives.
I don't know about that, Gabe. I think that's asking a bit too much.
I don't know. I think you're underestimating the impact of smoothness.
You just wait till long term when I showed him the video of me live shaving with the Man City Spurs game behind me and 50 people at the meetup in London on the 9th.
I am not shaving my balls.
No, I'm going to shave my face live there, and hopefully that'll be the next 175.
Oh, bloody way.
Video.
Anyway, enough of this bollocks. Sorry, there we go. This is all we're going to be talking about for the rest of the show.
Let's go through the captaincy so we can take some
Let's
live
look for the captaincy metric, see if it's talking bollocks. Who is it? Diego Jota. There we go. There's your pick, boys.
Just barely.
Just. And the reason I've put it in like this is because, and I've put Salah as 1, and I wanted to put him in as 1 just to show you that, but there's a slight issue there and there's a rotation risk, and that's why he's down. So what I'm saying is that if Salah started, he would be top of the metric, but I cannot be certain that he's going to start. Hence, he's just behind. Jota tops it, 103. De Bruyne, second, 102. Very, very close. Jota, 50% return. Slow, only an 8% haul ratio, which is a worry, but this playing those depleted, bedraggled foxes, as we've been talking about all show. They've got an amazing matchup. You know, he's got a 97% chance of a goal or an assist. He'll also get a clean sheet point for you, possibly. What's not to like? I really like him this week, actually. And I think I will captain him over Bruno. There we go.
I'm on Captain Bowen right now with Vice Captain Salah. If Salah had been knocked out in a slightly earlier round, I don't think I would question captaining him. But I actually really liked it. Now I'm not happy on the Salah captaincy because I don't own De Bruyne. I'm not going to captain Foden. And therefore, Bowen is my guy, I think. But this does give me a bit of doubt because both Bowen and Jota are around 100% EO anyway, whenever they aren't captained. So this week, it's really going to be interesting for all the non-De Bruyne owners, whether they go the Jota or Bowen route. I think they're going to be the two most popular captains.
And it really doesn't like Bruno. It really doesn't like him. And neither do Hub either. They've only got him down as a 75% chance for return or goal and assist if you add them together, right? It's at 0.75, but I change it to 75. But just for the purposes of this. But yeah, looking at this, De Bruyne is obviously clearly an extremely good option. I'm not saying he is a bad pick at all. If I owned KDB and I was chasing, I would almost definitely be on him this week.
I think there's a few in the chat who are on the KDB cap.
I'm completely with you. If I owned him, I would probably try and do a little bit of a rank. I would go for a bit of a rank hike.
I thought you were going to say you would triple captain him, but
no.
So that's like asking for punishment 2 weeks before the Liverpool double.
What I would say is that the defensive options, Cancelo and Trent, are a bit lower, right?
They're still equally good, though.
Just matchups, but you could just as easily argue that you know, you could look at their fixture difficulty and actually give them the attacking number as well, couldn't you?
For sure. We do have a Gallagher captain shout in the chat versus
Gallagher?
Norwich as well. Yeah, versus
It's an interesting
Norwich.
shout.
It is. It's not for me, but no.
I do like the fixture, yeah.
But I think you are the matchups selected Liverpool and City. For me, that's where I am going. It'll be one of those. I don't own a City attacker. Looking at that Bruno option, Ronaldo's fit. Bruno is less appealing on the back of Ronaldo being fit. He's now.
So what about Foden then? So
Foden, he's there. He's a bit lower, but his rotation risk is the concern with Foden. You see, you're looking at KDB 4.6 last 6 rotation against Foden, 47%. So yeah, I mean,
I wonder how much he would rise if you change that rotation risk.
I can tell you right now.
I'd love to know.
I think we expect Foden to start, right?
I would hope so. He's kind of sat out on the naughty step long enough, right? But you never know when you end up back on the naughty step.
He would go up to 92.
92. Okay, so that's only 5 more. Yeah,
right under Trent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Bowen though. I think Watford, as you said, Marina, I don't think they've got time to recover yet from the sacking and get a new manager bounce. I think Bowen's going to rip them apart, to be honest. It's going to be like a double game week heroics all over again.
I quite like him, but I think if I recall, Watford a little bit more stubborn away from home than they are at home. Do they open up a bit more at home? And
Watford's
therefore try and get caught?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Watford's last 5 away clean sheets came under 6 different managers, apparently.
Yeah, but it's not so much the fact that they're not keeping clean
but as in
sheets.
They're going to concede something.
How many
right?
are they concede? You know,
yeah.
I
think they're going to get slapped 3-4-0. Not everyone's an easy target like Man United, where Watford managed to get 4 against them. I don't think Watford score many goals apart from opposition not called Man United.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this. So Watford, they're away, right? So West Ham,
they're going to get destroyed.
West Ham have a good, a good fixture difficulty at home, 2, right? But Watford away is a lot better. It's 3.4. They're average away from home rather than bad from my point of view with the fixture difficulty. That's why it's pulled it down a bit. Okay, so it's not as good a matchup. Let's hope they're absolutely crap away from home this week as well.
The one thing I'd say is like both the FDRs and NetxG, we saw it was very top heavy. That the matchups were very top heavy towards Liverpool and City, and kind of the models kind of agree. And given that we don't know what kind of Watford team is going to show up, Roy coming in. Away game, they could be very conservative. They could really just park it and make things difficult. We just don't know. There's a lot of unknowns, and I don't think there's a need to take that risk when all the data is pointing us in one of 2 directions.
It's a fact you're not going to bench a West Ham asset against Watford. That's what
for sure.
You say that, but I've benched
certainly not an attacking one. Certainly not an attacking one. I might bench a defender. Yeah, I've got Dawson. I reckon I might bench him.
Yeah, I've got him on the bench at the moment for Dalot against Burnley. I'm not sure now with the new striker signing at Burnley whether Williams home to Palace is better than Dalot. So all I know is that I'm currently on Bowen. Jota's my vice. I've moved that off Salah. But you guys have now kind of made me a bit more open to both Jota and Foden as options. I don't think I'm maverick enough to go for a Trent or Cancelo though.
I think Jota could be, like I say, fairly nailed. Looks like he's going to get a good chunk of time, a good fixture against a depleted side. What's not to like?
Yeah.
To me, what's not to like? I really like it. But saying that, if I owned KDB, I would go for KDB.
I guess I own Foden, so it's easier to go for Jota over Foden from just guarantee of playing
I think
time.
If I owned KDB, I think I would captain KDB because I think it's a very, very nice opportunity to make a bit of a rank jump, particularly if you've got another couple. Perhaps you're probably already owning Trent. You've got Jota as well. You may have a third. Well, you may have Robertson for all you know. Some people may have. You could have 2 or 3. You could be covering that Liverpool captaincy anyway, and then still having the opportunity to jump rank with someone like KDB, who is still pretty lowly owned, isn't he? What's he owned these days? I don't know what it. I've not looked really. It's pretty low though, right?
Yeah, his EO will be very low. So it's he's kind of at the moment 29.7% at my rank range, and he's just a little bit over differential points for his owners because obviously under 25%.
Nice, right? Still not bad. Not bad.
27.9% at your rank, Nima. Wow.
29.7, yeah. So about 30% of people. He's actually under.
He's half that overall.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. So you can see that people have gone to it quicker. Yeah,
that means that the top players have picked, a lot of the top players have picked up,
and they're all going to captain him.
And they're all going to captain.
Yeah. I wish Fernandez didn't have a double game week next week.
Thanks for that FOMO, guys.
I could bring my flip flop forward a week, couldn't I? Man, you saying that, I don't think I'd go back. Oh, God.
To put it in perspective, he's the 3rd most or 4th most threat to me at my rank. So Foster is 39%, but that's because people who had him probably have him as a sub keeper and played him. So he's not really a threat, let's be honest. But Ronaldo, 33%, Fernandez, 31%, and then you go straight into De Bruyne at 29.7. So bar the 2 United attack, De Bruyne is the 3rd most damaging asset in the game to me, and that's without people captaining him last week.
Shit. So that's worrying.
I've got to hope Foden covers me, because Foden equally is only about 36% at my rank. So I've kind of basically, it looks like having one of the City mids is about 70% EO combined. So you got like 70% of people have one of the 2 City mids.
Balls.
That doesn't even include Bernardo.
It just shows I've been out there. I've hardly looked at it for.
Oh wait, sorry, Bernardo's 21%, by the way.
Ownership, I didn't look at all. I thought it was much lower.
No, Bernardo's 21% as well. So that's kind of like 50. So yeah, there's about 90% EO for a City mid. It's it's kind of worrying. It's just which one have you got, and are they the one that's going to bang?
I've just got to hope that my double defense that drags me out the shit, right?
So Laporte's only 9%. So yeah, that would be much more gain for you than.
But that's how that is how to look at it, right? It's like what you know. I don't have Kevin De Bruyne, so how am I compensating in other areas? And it is that double defense that could pay off and make up the difference between a Foden and De Bruyne, if there even is a difference, because Foden could score similarly to De Bruyne, and then that double defense is actually your rank gain right there.
Yeah. All right, guys, 1 hour 42. Should we do a few questions and then get out of here?
Yeah, let's do some quick fire questions.
Got any?
There's a good one from Llama. It's a non-FPL one, I believe.
Oh, God.
It was something about you're going for a meal and you can take a footballer past or present for a wee table for 2. Who are you taking? Do you want to start, Mariner?
My God, come back to me.
Okay, we'll go to you, Gabe.
Easy for me. Easy. The Brazilian legend, the philosopher, Socrates. Socrates from 82, from late 70s, early 80s.
A footballer.
Yeah.
He was a footballer.
Brazilian. Go look him up. He's a social justice warrior, philosopher player, tall, lanky, super silky and smooth, extremely creative central midfielder. Just a joy to watch, and just super interesting guy.
How, are you going to top that, Chris, or has that made you panic?
Do you know what? I'm going age back. I just have the total love of Brian Clough. I think it would be Brian Clough. I think he'd be so interesting to talk to. So interesting. So many different. He says a former footballer, past or present, right? So
it could be any time. Yeah,
I think it would be Brian Clough, because I think just that it would be a very, very, very interesting dinner.
You do love picking the players from the black and white TV era every few weeks.
Well, I can't. I've got black and white shirts or black and white TV. So I mentioned we had Trevor Francis the other week when we were talking about that. So I'm still in my Nottingham Forest days, right?
I know, but I just hope that you're ready for the 19th. I'm just getting you mentally prepared, because no napping on the sofa in between matches allowed.
You might have to get me some vodkas and Red Bulls then, mate, because I tell you what, there's going to be a problem. What about you? Who did you pick?
I'm trying to stall for time in case you couldn't tell. So I almost moved on to the next question. No, it's a tough one for me. I guess being an Iranian, I should really just say Ali Daei, because obviously he brought like the country onto the map from a football perspective for all those times and played for some big European clubs like Bayern. So he is one of the few super successful Iranians. Right now we have obviously Taremi, but he's not in England anyway. So let's go on to, so I can see you're talking about Platini from Ammon.
Yeah,
so
Ammon says he would take Platini there so he could throw a cake in his face. Very good. Yeah, I like that. That's excellent.
Actually, to be fair, the other alternative to about English football as well, like it's easily going to be Wenger for me as an ex-player. He counts, I guess, and therefore maybe I get to meet him after his football career and before his management career. I'd love to find out where his head was at in between that period before going to Japan. Something I saw up here as well from Utkarsh. So he says we will get a chance actually to see what Watford will be like away, because they're going to play Burnley away on Saturday in the
That's
cup.
what I said. I said hopefully they shut up shop.
But if they get slapped up, then there's Bowen captaincy that I'm on and I've been on this whole time.
I just want them to shut up shop. 0-0 draw. Thank you for a 1-1 draw. Actually, is the best result for that. 1-1 draw. That's the best result for anyone with no assets playing that game, is a 1-1 draw.
But no, it's a cup game though. So why does it matter?
It's not a cup. It's
not a cup game. It's a league game.
Oh, it is. You mean the
game week's not even over.
No. In my head, with a Dennis red card, I've cancelled the game week.
Me too. But I still remember that I've still got a rank destroyer coming flying.
I've got King
at me.
No, I've got King. I'll gain rank.
You say, yeah, you will. I won't. I'm going the wrong bloody way. I've
got both. Yeah, I've got both. I still get.
It should be me who's trying to ignore the game, Nemo, not you.
No, I don't want to ever watch Watford again. That's made me decide.
I ain't watching it. I won't be watching it. No chance. No way. No way. Not watching it. Anything else? Anyway, FPL banger. Here's one. Edouard is a 1 week punt. Or are Norwich's whipping boys' days over?
Not for me. Not. I'm not looking at 1 week punts before 2 double game weeks coming up. I'm rolling a transfer and trying to get as many moves towards those doubles as possible. Yeah. Palace are not a team that I would be going so heavy against. We saw what happened the last time we took a mid-table team and thought we could captain them against Norwich, and it didn't work out so well. Norwich and Josh Sargent were not having it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good time to hold one. It's good if fix something. Find it. I mean, like I say, I'm looking probably at a Villa asset. I think more than likely, and then I'll see what else is happening next week.
I'm still trying to recover from the fact that the game week isn't over. That was news to me, honestly. I still don't know what to say. I hope everyone in the audience is laughing.
That's why I never put. That's why I never put the mini league up.
I thought that you just didn't do it this week. I'm being serious. No. Yeah.
He hasn't changed. He hasn't changed since last week. What's the point? Now, defence stands 5 stands at Trent, Cancelo, Dawson, Emerson, Royale, and Livre. Should I move Royale to Dean this week or roll it?
No, always roll for me.
Yeah, can play Trent. Yeah.
No, he can play actual play. I'd put Dawson on the bench behind Williams. Like, I would not be worried about what to do. Like, I'm struggling to pick which of those defenders to play. Dallo,
Dawson's on my bench at the moment. I've got 2 City defenders and Trent and Dawson sitting on the bench, and Livramento apparently back, but still on 0. Still with a red flag at this moment.
Yeah, I agree. Roll that transfer now, and hopefully you can get by playing 3 at the back.
Yeah, I think as long as you've got other players, I can't see much upside in a defensive move to be going for that.
They got it wrong. What's his name? Weghorst.
Yep.
Weghorst is a legendary crouchy. Can you do the robot?
I don't know. Have you read it? Can do the robot.
Not like
Crouchy, certainly.
We'll be doing the robot.
We've got one last question, and then we should really get out of here. Let's
this show as usual.
Descended. I got told off because apparently it was a letdown. There was no fireworks at the start of the episode. But let's see. So top goalkeeper pick for the remainder of the season. I have to say Nick Pope. because of all the games in hand. That's my answer there, but not that I buy him if I wasn't on a wild card.
Really?
You would
got to
roll
pick
with
someone. You got to pick someone, not just be distraught at my pick. Don't stall for time. Who's your goalkeeper pick? It's quick fire rounds.
Sanchez.
Oh, I don't know if I'd go him over.
They've
like
got extra fixtures, right? They've got more fixtures to play as well, right? 2 doubles.
Yeah, but I think Burnley will have like 17 games.
Yeah, I know, but I just think he's cheaper. He's cheaper. Brighton have a chance of a clean sheet, whereas Burnley couldn't keep a clean sheet to save their lives.
But it's about save points, and we've always said
I know, but you can only get to. Well, I mean, look, I don't know if you're thinking about it. I mean, look, I own bloody De Gea, for crying out loud. I'd go back to Ramsdale in a heartbeat.
I own De Gea. I don't like that I own De Gea, but
no, I don't.
Into my wild card. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I don't either. So
I think Sarr for me is the actual goalkeeper who I'd like to watch.
That. Yeah. Akib, Nick Pope's a poor man's Tim Howard.
Right, let's take this question from Ashwin. So we've got a question from Ashwin as well. So play Saka or Sufal this week. Sufal's got a good fixture against I've forgotten now. I think it's Watford at home, but Saka's Wolves away. I could see a reason to do that, but I'm more of a back three kind of guy, and like how pivotal Saka is to Arsenal and the rest they've now had with Partey and Xhaka back. I can't not go for Saka. I'd love to watch him, and I'd be fuming if he scored and he was on my bench. Sufal, I don't care if he was on my bench.
It's horrible. That's a tough one. That is, because that is a prime example of the day that Wolves' defence does not turn up. Is the day that you bench him. I mean, numbers-wise, you would play Sufal.
Yeah, Analytics FC would play Sufal, but
yeah.
If you want to enjoy watching the game and not rooting a clean sheet, I would play Saka.
Nehal's just called me a Jurassic robot.
Well, maybe we can get you to dress up in that theme.
I'm going to get that dinosaur outfit before too long as well. I've also got to get some football shirts which fit me. That's the other thing I've got to find in the UK.
So this is the final question this time for real from Amin. It's about Weghorst. So yeah, so it is true. Weghorst had COVID a few weeks or months ago. And obviously when you get COVID, it's effectively a COVID pass. It counts as like you can use that to show that you've had it. Therefore, even if you don't have a vaccine, you can kind of have the same rights as people with vaccines in Germany. And I think it was going to expire, which meant that he couldn't like be in the same hotel as the rest of the team in Germany. The training would have been interrupted. You know, all the rules would have been different if he was nearby to people. If he was nearby to people at the time. So yeah, apparently Burnley don't look at vaccination status, and you know they were very happy to take him. And it was kind of, if he didn't leave, then I think his club would have had issues planning for match days going forwards. It sounds like. So let's see how many more games Burnley can postpone thanks to the arrival of Weghorst.
Okay, I think that's it. Should we get out of here? I think we've FPL'd ourselves.
Yeah, that alarm was the one that was saying it's like I need to get in the car.
I can't. I'm absolutely exhausted. I'm so knackered here.
We had a good 2 hours, guys. Nice to see everyone as well. Obviously, please do hit that like. It's been a pleasure having you here live with us. If you're listening afterwards on podcasts as well, do leave a review if you listen on Apple. And in the meantime, please start to get your wallets ready for the 20% off the ball shavers when they come. Your support will be very much appreciated.
Yes. Please do invest in some undercrackers shavers. Yes, very much so. And if have we got any spaces left at Marinafest, or are we on a reserve list now?
Yeah, so I've been sent a link to pay the deposit, and if there's anyone who's listening who's in London or can get to London easily on Saturday the 19th, there's obviously 8 Premier League games, starting with West Ham versus Newcastle, 6 3:00 fixtures, and then City Spurs at 5:30, followed by live music and dancing till the pub shuts at like 2 a.m. So this is like a midday to 2 a.m. the next day kind of function. There are some very big names in the content creator space that could be making it. Obviously, our friend FPL Focal will be there again. News that he's gone full-time FPL, so you can come and ask him about that and come and have a drink with us, or meet Chris as he flies over from Singapore, and just drop me a DM on Twitter and I can tell you the details and address. But there's a few very limited spaces left, so please do get in touch sooner rather than later, even if you can tentatively make it, I'll still put you down and you can confirm closer to the 19th. But yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
Have we got a deadline as well?
Yeah, we do, but I don't
night?
know. No, it is a Saturday deadline, but I don't know who's gonna. Actually, it might be a Friday deadline. You're right. That would be better. Actually, I would very much prefer that. No, we have a Saturday deadline.
Saturday.
Yeah. So, but the problem is who's going to be at the pub at 11 a.m. on the deadline. Is I kind of think people will make the move at 11, and then they'll come to the pub.
Sorry, it's 7 o'clock at night to me. I'll be ready. I'll be ready.
Well, you can go to the venue 90 minutes earlier than our booking. I think our booking starts at 12, so you can get there an hour early. Wait for yourself at Mariner Fairs, start shaving.
Anybody who wants to join, but they can join me in Borough Market first. That's where I'm going to be.
I'm just happy that there's still 48 people listening to this bollocks. But we love you guys, and I appreciate it. This isn't really going to help
anyway. Right. Anyway, guys, let's get the hell out of here.
Actually, on that note, just one last thing. So I am going to be I am going to be with Llama on the game week tomorrow. So we're going to be on the FPL game week, and I'm going to do the show similar to what you did, Chris, when you went over and just had a little wee blather with him.
Oh, he's a lovely guy. Great host. Really enjoy it. He's a top man. I think I'm popping up on FPL Penguins show next week at some stage, apparently, as well. I've been asked. So, yeah, it should be good fun.
Great. And I think we'll have to speak to Utkarsh, who was here the whole stream, and he really enjoyed it. I think we have to speak to him as well about being the final wire lad that we somehow get on at some point this season or next season.
100%. All right, then, guys. We will be on Twitter. Gabe, are you going to do a space between now and deadline?
Deadline's a week away, so I could do it next Monday.
All right.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do like a strategic space next Monday.
We might do a net that space.
Net that space. There we go.
Yeah, we might do a net that space as well. All right, boys. I will get us out of here, Nima, and everybody have a really enjoyable week. Enjoy the AFCON if you're watching it. And don't forget, save up for those ball shavers. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.